Spirit AeroSystems confirms it is in discussion with Boeing about a possible acquisition. We reached out to Spirit for a statement today. The company says they can give no assurances that a definitive agreement will be reached or any details on timing or terms of any deal. Boeing also released a statement regarding the acquisition talks. It said in part, "We believe that the reintegration of Boeing and Spirit AeroSystems would further strengthen aviation safety, improve quality, and serve the interest of our customers, employees, and shareholders." 12 News reporter Dylan Domingue joins us in studio now with more about those talks and what this could mean for both companies in Wichita.
Rachel, today I talked with Sedgwick County Commissioner Jim Howell, who said not knowing how far along those talks are is a concern, but he believes Spirit could have been the ones that actually initiated that conversation. Experts say this purchase could cost at least $8 billion, but this also comes at a time when both companies are struggling financially. As for what does this mean for the workers, Howell believes that there are enough incentives to keep aviation manufacturing in the air capital, no matter who owns that company.
Let's remember that truth. We have no reason to think that aviation manufacturing is leaving our community. I don't think anyone's even hinting at that idea. The reality is it may be a different sign out front, possibly, but I think that aviation manufacturing is part of our culture. It's going to continue to be part of our culture.
Aviation industry consultant Scott Hamilton says Boeing needs to get in better standing with the FAA, especially since the January incident when a door blew off a 737 MAX jet mid-flight. He says Spirit has dealt with quality control issues of their own even before that incident, so the purchase would give Boeing more oversight on Spirit manufacturing.
You would have to have the entire Spirit workforce assimilate into the Boeing workforce, the Boeing union contracts, the Boeing this, the Boeing that, the Boeing culture. But it certainly would bring, I think, some stability to the Spirit workforce.
Says while it may be a while before the purchase is completed, he says an acquisition like this could take at least a year to be approved. Spirit has remained a major supplier for Boeing over the years. That's where 70% of the company's revenue came from last year. That's according to a report from the AP. But Spirit's also taken on work from other aircraft makers, including Boeing's rival, Airbus. Spirit has facilities in 6 cities in North America, which includes here in Wichita, as well as in the United Kingdom, France, Morocco, and Malaysia. It's not clear if Boeing were to buy back Spirit, if that would include all of these facilities or just here in Wichita.